a fan of softball, then you are going to love the Fastpitch TV show sponsored by Easton Sports. Now the man that knows more about softball than anyone on the planet, your host, Gary Leland.
Hello and welcome to Fastpitch TV. Before I do anything else, I want to say a big thank you to the Lady Rough Riders for the intro you saw at the beginning of this episode. Now, if you're watching this episode on YouTube or another video sharing site, MySpace, Facebook, something like that, please check out our website. I tell you this every week, and I'm going to keep telling you. Our website is www.fastpitch.tv. It's the place to find past episodes. You can also subscribe to future episodes. If you have an iPod, or Zune player, or an iPhone, you can subscribe and have them delivered straight to your device, okay? I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank a sponsor of our show, Easton Sports. The truth is, there is a difference. The difference is Easton. So please visit their website, and their website is at www.eastonsoftball.com. Now on with the show. Now last week, or maybe it was week before last now, time's been flying, huh? The Sun Belt Championships were in Denton, Texas. The Sun Belt Conference, their championships were in Denton, Texas. Now, since I live in Arlington, Texas, well, Denton's very close to me, in other words, so I couldn't resist it. I had to get in my car, make a trip up to Denton, went up there and watched the little college softball. Now, one of the teams that were playing in the Sun Belt Conference Championship Tournament was the Florida Atlantic University Owls, okay? And their coach is none other than Joan Joyce. Now, if you're not familiar with Joan, you're going to be when I get through, okay? Because in this episode, I'm going to show you an interview I did with her. And like I said, I did it during the conference championships. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her before we start the interview, okay? Because like I said, Joan may be the greatest softball player of time, but she may be the greatest athlete of all time. Some softball greats like Casey Clark, Sharon Backus, Sandy Fisher have all said on our show that they thought the greatest softball player of all time was Joan Joyce, okay? So that's some pretty high testaments coming from those people. Let me tell you a little bit about her playing career before we do the interview, and you'll know why I say she may be the greatest, or why I say she is the greatest softball player of all times, okay? First of all, she played for the Rebestos Breakettes for 19 seasons. She played from 1954 to 1963, and then again, 1967 to 1975. Some of her records are the most consecutive All-Star team selections, and that number was 18. She was an 8-time MVP in the national tournament. She also had the most victories in a season with 42 in 1974. She had 2-hit, no-run games in national tournaments 4 times. Shutouts in a season, well, she had 38 in 1974. Most innings pitched in a game. Now, this is a big one here. 29 in 1968. 29 innings in a game. Career doubles, 153. Doubles in a season, 22 in 1968. Career triples, 67. She was a team batting champion from 1960, 1962, 1967 through 69, 1973. She was a 15-time All-American selection, 1971 National Tournament batting champion with a batting average of .467. Okay, if that's not enough, she was a 4-time WBA, and that stands for Women's Basketball Association All-American. Yes, not only did she play softball, she played basketball, but also she served as the player coach in the United States Volleyball Association. So you have softball, basketball, and volleyball. Well, she was doing volleyball. She was with the Connecticut Clippers. A lot of sports going on here. She was a 19-year member of the LPGA Tour, Ladies Professional Golf Association Tour, from 1977 to 1995, where her best round was a 66. 66! Oh my Lord. The Guinness Book of Records has her listed as the world record holder for the lowest number of putts in a single round of golf for men or women. Okay, so she has a record. That doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. She has a record for the least amount of putts in a game with 17 putts in 18 holes of golf. Okay, that's pretty good. So without any more delay, let's get to the interview with one of the greatest women athletes of all times, Joan Joyce. How old were you when you started playing softball?
I think as soon as I started to walk. My father, I got started with my father. My father played basketball and softball, and he was the babysitter in my family, so my brother and I would go with him every single night, to a softball field, and we would always be throwing a ball around and catching, stealing the gloves, and trying to catch with them. And, that's how I grew up starting, and started to play some rec ball in the parks and recreation in the summertime. And then moved from there to Little League. I played some Little League, and then went down and tried out for the Breakettes when I was 13.
And was there anyone special in your life that helped you, you'd say, more than anyone else in softball?
Well, I think my father was probably the one that, got me started, and, his team that he played on, which was, a pretty good team. It was like, maybe not the top in Connecticut, but, in the level right below it. He was a third baseman. I ended up to be a pitcher first baseman, so I don't know how that happened, but, his team, all of the guys that played on his team, were always either catching with us and, helping us type thing. So I think that was the base of how I got started. And then one of the pitchers on his team, which is a pretty interesting story, Tony Marinera, was my mailman, our mailman. So every single day in the summertime, I would run up to the top of the hill and help him deliver mail, which is totally illegal, but I would help him deliver mail so that he could stay at the house, for 10 or 15 minutes, just, with me pitching and throwing with them, that sort of thing. So, that was another person that really helped me get started, with some of my pitching. And when I went down and tried out for the Breakettes, I tried out as a second baseman outfielder, and they didn't even know that I could pitch. And then, they found out that I could pitch, and so they started me pitching, and that's how my career moved on. But, probably the biggest thing that happened in my career was I was a windmill pitcher when I first started. I hated it. I was wild. I threw it hard, but I was wild and really did not enjoy pitching. And 1 year, after 3 years of me doing that, we were getting ready for our home opener, and the Little League was starting at our field. Ray Besta sponsored Little League also, and they played it at our field. And they were putting up the buntings and getting ready for the opener, so there was a fella up on a pole. And I was down below in practice pitching. And he hollered down to me, he said, "Hey, Joan," he said, "have you ever tried to throw slingshot?" He said, "Well, I really don't know how to do it," So he came down off the pole and worked with me for about 15 minutes of just showing me how to throw slingshot. Totally changed my career.
I'd say so. Okay, we're going to jump a little bit here. What is, for new coaches starting out, what would you say is your number one tip for a new coach starting out, like on a select team or a young team?
My number one tip would be to have them have fun, okay? Teach them how to play the game instead of all coaches, just teaching the fundamentals and telling them what to do all the time. I find that the biggest things with players that I see now is that they don't understand the game. They know how to throw the ball, they know how to hit the ball, they know how to catch the ball, they know how to run bases, but they don't understand the whole game, okay? How to make the second play, third play, those kinds of things. They have no concept of that. And I think it's just because they don't watch it on TV. And it doesn't need to be softball, could be baseball. When softball is on, and there's a lot more softball on now, with them, televising all of the regionals, super regionals, and also College World Series, and a lot of games during the season now. There's plenty of opportunities to watch softball on TV, or just go out and watch softball in general. And watch the way the game is played and understand what's going on the field, on, how pitchers are setting up batters. You know, how teams are running plays against other teams, how to play the first and third, how to, you know, just do those kinds of things. They come in without any knowledge of doing that. Coaches tell them exactly how to move, all the way through, you know, younger ball. I mean, catchers don't learn how to catch games because they're called by, you know, their coaches, you know, so they never learn. I mean, the only thing they're doing is saying, okay, curveball this time, or a fastball on the inside, and they put the glove there and catch it. They don't know why, you know, so they come to us and they don't have a clue, you know, to what they're doing. And now all of a sudden you get a pitcher out there that can throw a rise ball, drop ball, curveball, screwball, change up. Oh, this is fun. Now let's use all of them. But they don't know why they're using all of them. And, you know, that's the part of the game I think that's the most fun to, you know, to be able to deal with. And yet they have no idea about it.
And this one, while we're on the tips, what is your number one tip for a kid trying to get a college scholarship for softball?
Be proactive. You know, I think the biggest thing is that kids should, you know, locate an area of where they'd like to go to school.
UOM, you can now take the field for line.
You know, have someone evaluate their talent on, you know, what level they should be trying to play at, whether it be D1, D2, D3. You know, I think that those are the major things. I think all parents think that all their kids can play at a D1 level, and they all can't. You know, there's only so many kids in the United States that can play at that level. And, you know, I think coaches, you know, should help with, you know, teaching the kids on what level they should be able to play at. You know, that's the big thing because, you know, I mean, you're just wasting a lot of time if, you know, someone's trying to go to a D1 school and they're not D1 material, you know, so that they should be looking to go to where, you know, they can go. But in an area, I mean, whether it be the whole United States, it doesn't matter, I'll go any place, or, you know, just in the state of Florida, or just in the state of Texas, or just in the state of California, you know, localize it, try to figure out what major you're thinking about doing, and find the schools that are good in that major, because the number one thing that's important here is school. Okay, when you get out of school, there's not many opportunities after that. You have the Olympic team and you have some professional ball. And that's a very small handful of players. So bottom line, your career almost is over after college. You know, so you can't take softball and go on with it, okay? So you have to have something to fall back on, and that's going to be your education in college. And, you know, you should try to narrow in on that as quickly as you can and go after your degrees and do what you need to do, because, you know, soon you're going to be able to move on, and you should be prepared for that.
Offense or defense?
I'm both. I'm both. I like to be aggressive. I like to be aggressive on the bases. I like to be, you know, proactive on creating situations that happen in games. I want the other team to play, okay, to try to make mistakes. Defensively, you know, we try to have the best defensive team we can have out there, and, you know, the best hitter. So, I mean, it's both, and probably the most important thing is good pitching. If you have good pitching, it stops everything.
Now, I think you're probably the greatest player of all time. If not one of, you definitely one of, if not the. Who do you personally think who is, in your mind, one of the greatest players of all time? Who's your favorite player of all time?
Female softball player? Because my greatest player of all time was Mickey Mantle. You know, that's what I grew up at, you know. Being a Yankee fan, Mickey Mantle was my, you know, there's, you know, there's a lot. Of course, you know, we've got, you know, 3 or 4 great pitchers that are out there right now, you know, that pitched with the Olympic team with Cat Osterman and Monica Abbott. Of course, Lisa Fernandez, you know, was, you know, carried our Olympic team for a lot of years. And, you know, Lisa Fernandez and Michelle Smith, you know, were players that played also, you know, were hitters. You know, when Lisa wasn't pitching, she was playing third base. Tough competitor. You know, that's what I like, you know. Now you don't find those kind of people around anymore that are really tough competitors. But I would say that those Olympic players, those kids coming up now like Osterman and Abbott, are Crystal Bustos as a hitter, Mendoza. We faced them, at FAU where I am, faced those players when they were in college, and I had a great pitcher pitching for us who, when we faced Mendoza, it didn't matter where we threw the ball to her. She just knocked it out of the ballpark every single time. Low inside over the right field fence, high outside over the left field fence. I finally told my pitcher, I said, just throw it right down the middle to her, and see what she does there, And actually, she didn't hit any more home runs on us after that. But Crystal Bustos was another one. She played, we didn't get actually a chance in season to play against her because she was playing at Palm Beach Community College, and we played them in our fall season. But it was scary for my pitchers to have to pitch against her.
Couldn't believe it. She is a hoss.
Yeah.
She can hit the ball.
Yeah.
What is your favorite softball moment in your life? You've had so many of them. What would you say if you had to say, this was like the one that stands out the most?
Probably our first national tournament that we won. I was 17 years old. I was actually playing first base. It was my first national tournament that I was ever playing in. I started out playing first base. In the third game of the tournament, I got an opportunity to pitch and pitched a no-hitter against a Detroit team. And then I was back at first base. Bertha Reagan-Ticky was our main pitcher at that time, and she pitched all the games in the Nationals. We got to the seventh game, the championship game, and Bertha started the game, went to the third inning with the first out in the third inning. Someone laid down a bunt. She went in to field it, turned to throw to me, tore all the ligaments in her hip. Okay, she goes down. In comes the ambulance. They take her away. We got 15,000 people in the stands watching the championship, because it was at our home in Stratford, Connecticut. And I was the one that went into the game and finished the game. She had started a no-hitter. I finished the no-hitter. We won 1-0. Our right fielder hit a home run in the seventh inning. We finished the game and won the game and won our first championship. And I would have to say that probably was, my first real, great experience in softball. I had plenty more, after that with winning the World Championship, pitching against Australia and Japan in the championship, just things like that were also great.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I definitely enjoyed meeting and interviewing Joan. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about one of the greatest softball players. No, let me say one of the greatest female athletes of all times, okay? Of all times. I do need to let you know that this is only part one of the interview. Joan, needless to say, is a talker. And I interviewed and talked with Joan so long, it's impossible to get it all into one show. It really is. Joan is just great to talk with, and there's so much information she had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have part two of the Joan Joyce interview on a future episode of the Fastpitch TV show, okay? Now, next weekend, I'll be at the College World Series in Oklahoma City. If you're there and you happen to see me, well, hopefully I'll be filming. I won't be filming inside the stadium. They won't let me bring my camera in, so you may see me in the parking lot filming. If you see me, please come up and say hello. Let me know you're a fan of the show. I love to hear that. I know someone's watching. I know people are watching anyway from the stats of downloads of the show, but I like to hear it. Don't forget to tell your friends about the Fastpitch TV show and check out our website, like I said earlier, at fastpitch.tv. You may also want to visit our fan page on Facebook and become a fan of the show. Just go to Facebook and search Fastpitch TV. If you're on Twitter, we're at twitter.com/fastpitchnews. That's twitter.com/fastpitchnews. Now it's time to say goodbye, and we'll end the show with a word from our sponsor, Easton Sports. Thanks for watching.
This bat's great pop, nice in the zone, feels good on the hands. The sweet spot is pretty nice. It's not as small as some other bats. even if you don't hit it exactly on it, the ball still travels as far as it's supposed to.